Family, One Radio, Super 92.7 FM.
One family, one radio, 92.7 Super FM.
Your one family, one radio, Super 92.7 FM.
One family, one radio, 92.7.
Security and attacks from the north. We haven't heard that, so we don't know if it's underreported, but we hope that that's the situation. It's a positive one. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Sincerely, in terms of security, no amount of money spent on security we can say is too much, particularly if this amount of funds are deployed judiciously. Because there is so much of money when it comes to buying security equipment. It's not like going to the market to buy bread. Mm-hmm. It costs a lot. Yeah. They are capital intensive. So we need to give more allocation to our security. Particularly, we don't have enough security men. All our security apparatus, police, the military put together, Navy, Army, Air Force, they are not up to 2 million. And how do you expect 2 million people to protect over 200 million Nigerians?
And we lose them very often, more often than is reported, That's now, Barrister, good to have you back on. So you've had the conversations that Mr. Taiwo Olakpade and I have been having in the studio. So where do you want to come in now? What are your thoughts on what is going on in the finance sector? What do you think should be done differently as regards the ministry and everything else there?
Well, I think the level of inflation is rising so high and uncontrollably. And that has to be tackled in the interim. And how do you go about that? I think a lot of money is being pushed into circulation by government fiscal activities. And most of the monetary policies of the president or the government is not being adhered to. Some of the banking regulations are not adhered to. Some of our banks are not following the guidelines of the CBN in the conduct of their financial activities. So there is no financial intermediation. You can't go to any bank now and get loan to finance any business. No credit line. So it's important that all of this be put in place. People should have access to funds to be able to invest and do business so that we can create new money and the capacity, the business capacity can be expanded. As of now, there's constriction in availability of funds. So economic activities is at its lowest edge. And that's not good for an economy that is going through crisis.
a policy analyst and university lecturer. He's joining us via phone today. So we're looking at Tinubu's announcement of reshuffling his cabinet based on ministers' performance. How did you receive this news? What are your contributions? You can call us on 0805 092 0927 or call 0705 890 4927. Your thoughts on the ministries and what should be done differently. So I think Barrister was going over. Barrister.
Yes.
I think, are you done analyzing the finance, some of the moves? Now, are we not surprised that all of a sudden, I don't know if it's just me, but I've observed that when I want to use the ATMs, they don't dispense cash anymore. I think a lot of us now resort to POS. I think there was a conversation around that. Barrister, are you up to speed with that particular, issue?
It's an evidence that most of our banks are failing. It's an evidence that the banks are failing. And of course, some of them will complain that the CBN have not given them enough supply of money for their daily operations. And you can imagine where if the people have a runoff on the bank, what will happen eventually to the assets of the bank. It's so unfortunate that Nigerians cannot get their money that are deposited in banks. When people need it, they can't get it. It's so really, really unfortunate. Okay. And I don't think there's any justifiable reason for any bank not to pay the customers whatever money that is that is deposited with them. Okay. A lot of people today are going through anguish. And the little money people have in their account, they want to be able to use it for their basic needs. And all of that is not happening right now. And the CBN doesn't have any strategic plan in place to reform
I think there was
the institution.
There was a news recently, the CBN announced, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, that about 1.4 trillion will be disbursed to banks so that to aid dispensing of cash. As regards this ATM issue, because I think a lot of people have actually complained about it as well. I've been seeing conversations online. I just wanted to be sure if both of you have experienced it.
Nigerians are facing at the moment, it's quite unfortunate that you go to the bank. I just pray you don't have any emergency at hand. You go to the bank, you say you want to withdraw like 20,000 naira, they will tell you can't get up to 20,000 naira. And you go to POS, close to the bank, POS will give you conveniently 50,000 naira. Where are they getting it from?
Even the ATMs are not working. The
so
ATMs are the
we are saying the same thing, maybe in different ways. So I think there's a need for thorough investigation. Where is the money going? And the CBN governor during this last MPC meeting said we have about 4 trillion naira in circulation. So where is the money? Who is holding on to the money? He said we have about 4 trillion naira inside. I heard him right live on the TV, on the radio. During the MPC meeting, Monetary Policy Committee meeting, he said we have about 4 trillion naira in circulation at the moment. So where is the money? You go to the bank, you fill 30,000 naira, they say no, fill 10 or fill 15. And it is your money. And when you take this money to the bank, you want to deposit, they won't say remove some, give us some. They will collect the money from you. But you go there to say you want to withdraw, it's a challenge, it's a problem.
Beyond the cabinet reshuffle, I think we Nigerians, we also need to reshuffle our minds and the way we do a lot of things in this country. Because I remember when there was a cash crunch situation, a lot of Nigerians, I had conversations with people in public transport and even on the streets and, even at work. You hear people complain that they'll tell you to bring, if you go to withdraw 5,000 naira, the bank will say you can only get 3,000, and that's going to the customer, the attendant, the person attending to you would say you should, and people were lamenting seriously. So this is how we do ourselves. I don't know if you remember Mr. Taiwo and Barrister when even there were moves to retrieve cash as at that time, the new notes, because it wasn't in circulation. You were only seeing it in parties, in events, sprayed, but it wasn't in circulation. So it was like it became for the rich. If you had access to the new notes, it was a symbol of wealth. But anyway, we're still looking at the cabinet reshuffle. Now, Barrister, how do you think that this reshuffle move by the president, do you think it's going to have an impact on the ruling party's internal dynamics?
The ruling party what?
Do you think it's going to have an impact on the party's internal dynamics? Do you think it's going to stir any kind of concerns within the party?
Parties?
Yes, within the APC.
Well, the APC, they have their own way of doing things. they are the party in power. They have their own way of doing things. I'm not sure that all of these complaints about money not being in circulation is actually affecting
No. I'm
them.
thinking of the reshuffle, the cabinet reshuffle now. How do you think this move by the president would, play out at the APC, the party level?
It all depends on the president, really. It all depends on, the buck falls at his table. And unfortunately, it doesn't appear to me as if the president is dynamic in any respect. With the greatest apology to that office, the president is not dynamic. The reaction time to policies, to events, to situation is just a little bit better than what we had during Buhari's government. And that's not good for a nation that is in crisis. It's as if they don't understand that the country is in crisis. There's a need for an emergency response in many of these policy decisions and policy activations and all of that. So there's no immediate response to most of the problems that we are talking about. It's as if they are so comfortable, they don't even feel the pains of the people. So, and that's where the problem is. Because if you are insensitive to the plight of Nigerians, then you wouldn't see any need. You just ascribe complaints and protests to opposition and all of that. And that's what has been happening in government. Okay. But I think away from all of this.
Yeah, Barrister.
Away from all of this. Yes.
Do you think it's too early now to say that this the cabinet members, Tinubu's cabinet members are underperforming? Do you think it's too early?
If you ask me, I would advise the president to get rid of his entire cabinet and get new people into government. And they should be technocrats, not politicians, not based on party patronage.
But we saw Bella Edu.
That's the only way Nigeria can get out of this crisis that we are in now. There are lots of potentials. Yes.
We have some technocrats already. Bella Edu, she has a very rich, she has a very rich CV portfolio,
for
she
health
was former commissioner for health
in the
and
states
you see her,
before coming
she did
to
something
federal
with
cabinet.
Harvard. Yes, she's when it comes to that. So,
but who is that?
Betta Edu, the former minister for humanitarian affairs.
I'm not. I can't seem to.
Betta Edu.
Hello?
Okay, you talked about technocrats, so we are saying that we, have one or two of them. Betta Edu, she's a technocrat. Even the Minister of Trade and Investment, I think the lady from Imo State, she's also, a technocrat. She's been with Zenith Bank and some other top banks with huge portfolio and all that. Hello?
When we are talking about technocrat, we are talking about people who have excelled in their field, not just anybody who is in a particular line of trade or investment. We are not talking about just anybody who has credentials. We are talking about people who are tested experts in their field, not just anybody just because he has a qualification. Most of these appointments, these people we are calling experts, they are political appointees. Some of them are they are on patronage in the government. How far can we go with such people? So when I say technocrat, I'm not talking about political technocrats. There are some of them, and most of these political technocrats that you see, with the greatest respect to Mr. Wale Edu and Cardoso. So as far as I'm concerned, they can't do anything in this government because the government is filled with politicians. They don't really have the say in the government. They don't have the say in the government. In the cabinet as of today, you discover that most of the elements that constitute the cabinet, they are all appointees of the president who have no business holding the portfolio they are holding. When you put a lawyer or a journalist in a place where you are talking about steel, you are talking about steel, you are talking about mining and all of that. Of course, you are not going to get anything. So when you put an engineer in a place of finance, you are not going to get anything. You are putting spot in round holes. So that's the problem we are having as at now.
Okay.
And most of them have not shown that they are competent to hold the particular office, or they are even knowledgeable about the office they are holding. And they are not even taking advice. Some of them should have advisors, maybe who are experts, to assist them as ministers, but that's not in place. So what are we talking about?
Okay, Barrister, let's look at it
There's
from...
a need to change the entire cabinet, if you ask me.
Barrister Safety. Okay, now let's look at it from the legal perspective now. What legal frameworks do you think can guide the ministerial performance evaluation?
The legal framework.
Yes, what legal frameworks should guide the performance evaluation of the ministers?
Well, I am not sure if there are rules of engagement, if there are policies that ministers are supposed to adhere to. Okay, I know there is the code of conduct, but the code of conduct has to do with probity and accountability, issues of probity, accountability in governance. No, there is no serious rule of engagement for ministers. I know they hold meetings every Monday. I wonder what they discuss in those meetings. Because if they have been discussing the emergency issues that Nigerians are interested in, by now there should have been some changes in policies in certain areas. Because I can't, for instance, I was talking earlier on about the interest rate. I can't see what business anyone will be doing in this country with so high an interest rate that we are parading. And the monetary policy should be responsive to the economy, to the needs of the people. Our policy, the monetary policy, the fiscal policy, they are not policies that will assist the country in a recession. And we are in a recession. So that's the problem that we are having right now. And that's why I said earlier on that I don't see anything changing unless the government decides to change its way of doing things.
Okay. So now, Mr. Taiwo, how is it even going to be measured? That's, the questions asked. Beyond just reading reports, like you mentioned, the case of Dele Alake, saying that there are a lot of reports that he's doing an excellent job. But how do Nigerians get involved in the process? Is it something you see us being part of?
Measuring the performances of our ministers is not a rocket science. It's like measuring the performance of a government. And if you want to measure the performance, you look at the basic needs of life: shelter, food, clothing, the basic things or the basic needs of life. If they are well taken care of, if Nigerians are happy, that means the ministers are doing well. If the Nigerians are happy, that means the federal government is doing well. But if the reverse or if the opposite is the case, that means there's a problem somewhere. However, most of the times we focus more on the federal government. We have 3 tiers of government. We have the federal, we have the state, the subnational, and we also have the local government. We all reside in local government. That has been my own premise. That has been my own proposition. We all reside in local government, and in our local government, we also reside in the states. It is not easy for me and you to say we want to protest. Okay, like we had a protest yesterday in our community in Sulere, Aguda. We can't do that easily by going to Abuja. Abuja is too far away. So if we want to get good performance from the federal government, it also starts from the local government. It starts from our homes. Let me put it that way. If our local government are not doing well, if our state government are not doing well, then it will be a surprise for the federal government to be doing well or to have done well. So it starts from the home. It starts from the local government, from the grassroots. How many of us are also worried about the level of governance at the local government level, about the level of governance even at the state government level? But we focus more, and I'm not saying